Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Chair Yoga. Today, we're going to focus on a kind of a lofty concept, which is unconditional personal regard. Unconditional personal regard. Can you imagine that we could actually come to a place, I shouldn't say personal, actually, it's unconditional positive regard for yourself and others. I think it's a good follow-up to our week of last week when we were converting states to traits with a practice. So this one is just taking it a step further to open the possibility that we could be a person who, walks through this world with unconditional positive regard for themselves and others. And just think of what a difference that would make. So we're going to begin with a heart opening position. So I'm going to join you on the chair to kind of encourage that. So let's begin, because the whole practice is in terms of the physicality of it, it pairs up with the emotionality of it and the psychology of it, in that it's heart opening. So the practice is a heart opening practice for us today. So we're going to use the block behind the back. So I want you to come back into the chair enough that you are able to lean into that block. And so it's positioned right behind, the sternum, so that you feel that expansiveness. And kind of mess around with it until you feel comfortable with it. These blocks have edges, so you might have to play with it a little bit so it doesn't feel uncomfortable. And then we're going to do a breath practice that I found this weekend that I just thought was very, very lovely. It's a practice of connecting to the earth energy at the beginning of the practice. Then we connect to the sky energy, the air energy, and then we bring ourselves into the space of the heart entirely. So that's just a brief outline of this breath practice, but it's very, very lovely. And I'm going to have you open your hands with fingers touching thumb, the index finger touching the thumb, and palms are open into that position of the jhana mudra, which is just a unifying, basic kind of a mudra that I think is useful. So let's close the eyes and connect with your experience of your breath. So just to begin with, just simply changing gears and using this transitional time. Make sure you feel yourself connected to the earth. Be aware of feet to the ground and how your bottom is being supported by the chair. So those reference points of feet and sit bones to the earth will serve us in our breath practice here in a moment. So feeling the connection of feet and sit bones and imagining that this is a way of acknowledging your connection to the earth and grounding into that experience as a way to, feel like you're fully present in this moment. So as we connect to the breath by way of the movement of the body, let's take a moment just to settle into ourselves and our own particular needs, what's going on in our lives, people, places, things that have been on your mind lately, just to acknowledge and honor that. And then trust that you can just hold that in high regard. Hold all of those people and all of those circumstances in a trusting, loving regard. And kind of put it to the side, that you're just trusting that you don't need to continue to think about and focus on and problem solve, that you can just let that be for now, holding it in your loving, positive regard. So as we breathe in and breathe out and connect to the inhalation and the exhalation, Let's imagine that we're drawing our inhalation from the reference points of the sit bones and the feet. So we're drawing earth energy into the body as we inhale. And as we exhale, we hold that earth energy in the space of the heart and we expand it. Inhale now, draw it up from the earth, bring it into the body. Exhale as you hold that in your heart space and expand. Again, inhale from the earth through your sit bones and your feet. Draw that into the body. Hold it in your heart as you exhale and expand. Let your breath just simmer down to its normal rhythm. And we're going to move to the sky or the air as another energy source. And this time our reference point or how it's going to enter through the body is through the crown of the head. So as we sync up our breath, inhale now through the crown of the head, drawing in the energy of the air and space above. Bring that into your heart space and exhale and let it expand there. So inhale as it comes in through the crown of the head from the air and space around us. Exhale into the heart space, hold it there and let it expand. And one more breath just like that, inhaling from the stars and the sky. Exhale, bring that into your heart space and hold it there as it expands. And again, just returning to your normal rhythm. Really acknowledging for yourself that you have filled your heart with earth energy, with the sky and the stars, the energy all around us now, expanding in our heart. Our final sequence of breath is just breathing in and out right there in the heart. So if your eyes aren't closed, for sure, let's do that now. Breathing in and out through the heart. Just centering your breath right there at the sternum, right there in the center of your chest. So it's not on the outside. It's not just a layer outside of your body, but it's deep within the chest cavity that you are breathing in and breathing out. Let's stay with that breath a little bit longer. And last time, as you inhale and expand through the heart and exhale and let that just fill you, penetrating into every cell of the body. Let's flutter the eyes open now. Let's remove that block from behind our back and bring it to the floor. And so that was going to require a scoot forward on your chair so you can align your ankles with that block. And then take a moment to squirm around, get yourself comfortable so you feel very balanced in the pelvis. Let's take a really good awareness of that, paying particular attention to balancing left to right. And again, using your sit bones as reference. And balancing front to back. And the reference points for that, if you can remember the map of the perineum, is your tailbone in the back and the pubic bone in the front. So you feel like you've got your experience of your pelvis, which I've often used the block as a way to think of your pelvic bowl, the structure of your pelvis, that it's balanced. You're not tilting, you're not leaning, but you're balanced front to back, right to left. And you can really feel that as a stabilizing position. Squeeze the ankles into the block a bit so you can feel the engagement of your inner thighs. This is a great way to just simply connect to the core strength. Simply connecting to core strength by squeezing your ankles into your block. So that kind of will remind you, you start to feel your legs engage, that it brings you right up into the belly button area and pull in and up. Beautiful. All right, let's begin some movement. Inhale with me. Palms come together overhead. Look up if your neck is agreeable to that. Exhale as you bow into your heart to begin. Inhale back up and exhale all the way around. Arms are going to be alongside the frame of the chair. Pull back. Pull back now into your cow pose. So we're going to extend the spine, squeeze that block. Feel the belly engaged. And then just think chest, chest, chest. Chest is pulling out and away from the spine a little bit, and you feel that expansion through the chest cavity. I want you to breathe in and out here. So we can really utilize this as a increasing your lung capacity, an opportunity. When we open the heart, we open the chest, we also open the capacity for the lungs. So let's be mindful of that as we breathe in and out, lifting ourselves up and away from the chair, lengthening the spine, pressing feet to the floor to help with all that. And feel the arch of your back body. Or for this particular practice, we're thinking of it as a heart opening experience. And be sure to settle into your exhalation. Give yourself the full benefit of inhale and exhale. Now, hands come to the lap. Exhale now brings us into the roundness of the back body. Drop your chin to your chest. Feel the C-shaped curve of your spine. So it feels like a resting pose. It feels like you're allowing yourself to rest from the extension and expansion of the previous pose. And feel it as that and acknowledge it as that. And let's do this as our vinyasa. Inhale up into the extended pose, expand its heart, and exhale as you round into the restful state. And try to exaggerate both ends of that. Both the extension and expansion part, and also the rounding and calming part. Check in with your mouth to make sure there's no tension there. And find the rhythm of your breathing. You don't have to keep up with me or anybody. You're just trying to find rhythm within your body. And the anybody, when I say we're not trying to, it's like the right way to do it, right? That we can sometimes have a rule or some kind of inner understanding that says there is a right way to do it. And I don't think I'm there. Instead of just trusting that your body is moving and flowing exactly right for you. Excellent. Let's come back to our neutral position, our mountain pose. So turn your palms to face forward and notice how your shoulder blades have aligned themselves in the back body. Feet to the earth, feel the connection of that earth energy. And anytime you think of it throughout the practice, whether I'm bringing it to your attention or not, connecting to earth energy, connecting to the star in the sky, just bringing that into your awareness whenever it shows up. Good. Again, inhale up, palms together. Let's look up this time. Look up. Think of it as a full body stretch. So you're engaging your legs by pressing your feet to the floor. Interlace your fingers and keep your index fingers extended. Interlace fingers and just extend the index finger. And then bring your head back to neutral. And let's just do a little tilt. Hold the tilt and as you bend from the side, just a side bend. And balance through your pelvis. That's tricky, isn't it? You just naturally lift up a little bit on the side of the pelvis that you're bending away from. So just see if you can offer up your intention and your mindfulness now to balance back left to right and come back up to center. A little bend, not very far, because we really want to accentuate the notion of balancing in the pelvis. So if we try to go for a big extension away from the body, away from the chair, it's going to be a real challenge. It's probably impossible, really, to keep our pelvis balanced properly. So let's just go for a little bend, little side bend. And then I want you to just sort of move through little movements like that, where you're going side to side. Keep your arms as snug to your head as you can. I've often instructed ways of aligning your ears towards your arms because it stabilizes the neck. So I'll throw that out in case you have found that to be useful. Just sort of moving side to side with this full extension of the arms overhead like a full body stretch that we are now in motion, taken to this movement. Index finger extended, connecting to the sky, to the stars. Excellent. Let's come back to center now. And as we release the hands, we're going to come into that W shape where we bend the elbows and draw in toward the waistline. Pull your palms back, a back bend. You're going to see a lot of back bends today. So pulling the hands back will give you a little arch of the back. It's going to feel a lot in your back. It's going to feel a lot like doing the cow pose, I think. And lift your chest, lift your chest. And then you can decide how much you're lifting your face. You could keep your face very neutral. Tuck the chin. Don't do any movement of the neck if that's what your body needs from you today. But you could invite more of a back bend, including the spine that's part of the neck, your cervical spine. You could lift your face up if you've got that flexibility and strength of body. Now find your breath. So then you really know you've got all the information you need, because now you're connecting to the full breath in and the full breath out. A back bend, seated back bend, expands the heart. To come out of that, bring your head to neutral, extend your arms into the T shape, palms face up, thumbs point back, stretch your hands apart. You're stretching your fingers apart and it's stretching through the palms. So it feels very active, very strong. Turn your head to look from one hand to the other. Let's just give this a minute or two. So we make sure we're calming down the neck, addressing the stretch, moving side to side. Give it your full awareness. Don't just breeze by it. Give it your full awareness so your neck gets your tender, loving care. Lift up, palms face forward, lift up, full body stretch. Feels like, again, to me, pull the belly in. Feel that block so you feel core strength from your legs up. And then we're just going to move through the shoulder joint, extending up and down. Let's vinyasa, or I'll invite you, that's an option perhaps, inhaling, exhaling, if you want to do it with that connection to the breath. If you're more in favor of just moving kind of quickly, kind of get your body warmed up, that's another option. So you can connect it to the breath, which will slow it down, which is fine, it's good. Or you can just kind of move quicker and let your body warm up. Here we go. Palms come together up there. Let's again find that interlaced hands and index finger, and it's a side to side. Pay attention to how your neck feels. Just managing the weight of your head is good advice. Balancing right to left and left to right in your pelvis. Good, let's come to center and take a big kind of backstroke to come out of that. And I want you to do some shoulder rolls. And change the direction. Good. And then let's come back to neutral. We're going to use the block for some support, for some side bending. So I want you to scoot yourself over to the side a little bit, just a little bit off center of your chair, so you can extend a leg out. Both legs feel like they're in a right angle to one another. So just adjusting, making sure you feel like you got a lot of support with your pelvis. You're not too far off, but you've given yourself the ability to really draw that leg out and away from the chair. Here's where the block might be useful, is to put it in front of the ankle, put in front of the foot of that extended leg. I'm going to call this our extended leg. And then I want you to come into the, aligning yourself with the elbow and forearm supporting you. Ear is facing, right where you made contact on your thigh. And let's extend the other arm straight past the ear into what's called a side angle, the side angle stretch. Now pull back with your hand so you're not caving forward. This is a tendency that we're sort of rounding and kind of leaning. I want you to open the heart. So pull back with your arm, pull back with your head a little bit. So you feel the opening through the chest and how much more spacious that is in the shoulder. So breathe in and out. And let's see if we can straighten that top arm. Stay with me now. Pulling back, maybe letting the head drift back a little bit so you feel more of a back bend or spaciousness offered into the chest. And then we'll let that arm, that upper arm, come all the way down and get us out of there. Now I want you to reset your body. I'm even suggesting you might, bend the opposite way. Like, oh, I was over there on that side, so my body needs to adjust a little bit, a little twisting action maybe. So invite that in case that happens to work well for you as well. Let's go deeper with it. Well, we're going to bring our hand to the block. So instead of resting forearm and elbow on the thigh, see if it's possible to bring your hand to the block. Again, lining your ear up with where your hand and block come together. And we're going to extend that arm right past the ear. And then just adjust. I found myself not quite settled in my pelvis, so a little adjustment perhaps. Pull back a little bit. Upper arm just back a little bit. Head back a little bit. Not a lot. So you feel that invitation for more spaciousness in the rib cage. Really press on the foot that's your extended leg. Press on that so it's kind of giving you a little push back, a way to really address the connection of your pelvis to the chair. Stabilizes that connection. Let's give it one more breath cycle here. And use that top arm to lift you all the way up, and back to neutral. We're going to relocate to the other side. So you might just start that action. Let's come back to center and do some movement that will reset the body. I'm going to say nothing better than a cow and cat. So let's cycle through that. Remember, connecting with your breath, exaggerating the movement, with the idea or intention of resetting the body from those big side stretches. And then we'll realign to do the other side. So kind of scooting over to the one side of your chair and creating a right angle with your legs. See if you can square yourself to face forward. It sort of brings you over to the extended leg, doesn't it? Sort of brings your torso over there. So see if you can counteract that, where you're instead aligning yourself with the front leg. Let's start with the elbow and forearm. And tilt your head so you feel that alignment of your ear with where your elbow and forearm are making contact with your thigh. And we're going to extend the arm past the ear, the top arm. Find your breath cycle now. And pull back. Pull back your hand, your thumb, however you have found that to be useful to pull back, and let your head, the back of your head, tilt back a little bit. Just inch your way in, tiny little movements to find where you can go with this. And then connect with your breath, because that's the decision maker. Once you feel like you've expanded and you can find still a full, smooth breath in and out, there you've landed. You've landed at a really good place for you. Deepen the breath, feel your feet to the earth. Let's use our earth energy to connect the sit bones to the chair. And then we're going to use that upper arm to come out of that. And I want you to kind of use that idea of just sort of rotating or twisting away from that like a counter pose. You want to unwind from that stretch by letting your body adjust to the other side, if you know what I mean. Then we'll deepen that. We'll deepen that by bringing our hand to the block. Again, that's an option. You could always just stay right here. That's going to work well for you. You can just do round 2 of the very same thing. So create the right angle. Make sure your front leg is well positioned. You don't lose track of that. And we're reaching up and over the head by way of our ear. I don't know about you, but I find this, challenging. what I'm noticing is one side to the other, very different, which has to do with these muscles, the QL. It has to do with some of those side transverse abdominals. Now I'll give you a list here, but it has to do with other muscles that, like, oh, on this side, they're a lot tighter. They're not quite as giving or forgiving. So you could raise your block to a higher level if you wanted to make an adjustment. So a little bit of a tilt of the head, pulling your hand back, deepen the breath. Try to straighten your arm if that's possible. Upper arm is straight. Very expanded pose, huh? Very big. We're going to use that top arm to bring us up and out of that. All the way around. And then let's bring our legs back to center and square your hips so you're back into your neutral position. Once again, my recommendation, let's roll through the cow and the cat. Exhale completely. And don't shortchange it, even though it's so familiar and it feels like a drive-by. We're going to be doing this, but on our way to something else. Give your full awareness to what you're doing. Breathe through it. Excellent. Let's take a wide angle and let's take a forward fold. So we're going to get our feet positioned well. So draw your heels, get your feet pretty close to the chair so there's a definite bend in the knee, and we're going to fold forward. I like to, pursue different ways to do that. Some of you can just immediately drop down, head is down. Some of you might need to take a more step-by-step process. Maybe elbows and forearms rest on the inner thighs. You take a few breaths there, and then you get your fingertips to the floor. You just start working your way down and letting your body adjust step by step, because maybe your blood pressure would appreciate that kind of approach. Just take care of yourself and offer variations that just seem more in line with what your body needs. Deepen the breath. This is where we do belly breathing. The benefit of that is internal organs, fresh blood supply, better oxygen supply now into those internal organs by belly breathing. Try to surrender the weight of your head. Don't look out, don't hold it up halfway. If you're holding it up halfway, make sure you've got proper support and alignment. You're bringing yourself into an entirely different pose. Deepen the breath. Surrender is the name of the game here. And then one hand at a time is going to jump to your thighs, and then come up about halfway, squeeze your elbows into your waist, and take a pause here. Nothing else but taking a pause and letting your body adjust to this upright position. Not entirely upright, but we're making our way there. So taking some mindfulness into this adjustment here so our blood pressure can adjust. We're going to work the perineum. I don't want to miss it on any class. So we're going to work the perineum. Press your feet to the floor and inhale as you lift yourself. It feels like you're lifting the floor of the pelvis off the chair. Exhale, relax down. And for those of you who want to join me for a breath practice to add to it, it's the O shape of your mouth. O shape of your mouth on the inhale as you kind of suck that air in like a vacuum would do. Full breath in, and then exhale, just relax your face and relax the pose. So I want you to do 4 or 5 of those, either using that breath practice in the mouth position or not, but do 4 or 5 more where you're really paying attention to this toning process, strengthening process. Let your shoulders relax. Really focus on what's happening with the strength of your legs and the floor of the pelvis. How your breath interacts with that, pulling in and up and softening to release. Just like we did on our cow and our cat, very expanded and then resting. Last time. Relax it back down and bring yourself all the way up. Good. Let's bring our hands to our shoulders, creating those little wings, our little chicken wings, and let's circle those around, big circles. Exaggerate the movement. Notice the heart opening or chest expansion that's woven into that. So you can really kind of experience it. You know, just give yourself a little nod. Yep, there it is. Stay with the same direction a few more times. And then bring your elbows together, and then fingertips now release, and they're touching your shoulder blades, and keep lifting those elbows up as far as you can and as much as you can. So we're searching for the stop sign. It's there. And squeeze your arms in towards your head as much as possible. Lift up, lengthen the spine, front and back. So you're feeling the front of your spine right through here, you know, and just lifting up, front and back, expanding. Beautiful. Now let's come back to where we started. Can you remember what you were doing for a circle? See if you can find the other way. And let's hold it into that wings position. And I want you to lift your leg up to meet it. So lift that leg and knee up to meet the elbow. Elbow can come down and touch. It's kind of a cooperation there, side to side. Let's get real strong with the core. Get a hearty breath. I don't think I've really formally taught the Ujjayi breath for a while. That's the breath that sounds noisier and is kind of located in the throat. This would be a good time to use it. Inhale comes through the nose, but the exhale is kind of gravelly. It sounds like the ocean. It's often called the ocean breath. And it's mostly done with the mouth open, though it doesn't have to be. So if that appeals to you, to use the Ujjayi breath, so it's a little stronger. Inhale is normal. Exhale is where we really fired up, and it feels like a sound in the back of the throat. Let's do 2 at a time now. Let's kind of up our game and lift the knees two times. Excellent. Let's get both feet to the floor and arms come down. Shake them out. Just shake. Open and close your hands. Let's circle the wrists. I'm going to slow that way down. Circle the wrists. Slow it down. It's a soft fist. Now change the direction of what you're doing in case you hadn't done that yet. You could change the direction whenever. Keeping your legs in a wider angle. Let's push out like we're pushing against the walls on either side of the room. So your wrists are very flexed. Fingertips reaching up. Stretching through the palms, stretching through the wrists. Push out, push out. Finish your exhale. Use your Ujjayi breath. Push. Excellent. Then we turn palms up. Inhale with me, palms together. Look up. Exhale, bow into your heart. Inhale up. Exhale, go all the way around. I want you to get a hold of the back of the chair. Move yourself maybe a little bit forward. I just have to squirm around to make sure I can get my legs up off this chair. So I got a hold of the back of the chair, which creates a back bend, which creates that chest opener. So that's a good position to be in. And then we're going to lift up, lift up, lift up, and see if you can even lift both. So you can alternate your legs or see if you can just lift up both legs at a time. Your choice. Couple more now. Stay with it. Feet to the floor. Let's get our hands now under the thighs. And when we lift up this time, you're definitely leaning back. You're going to create an angle where you're leaning back. You might even be touching your backrest. See if you can get your shins parallel to the floor. So you're lifting your feet up, lifting up, lifting up, breathing in, breathing out. Hold on to your thighs. Stay with it. And then all of a sudden, feet to the floor. Let's start circling around. Hands are on the fleshy part of your thighs. Pull in the belly. Smooth out your breath. Whatever breath it seems to show up. I'm guessing the Ujjayi breath is not necessary at this point. So you're just finding your breathing as it shows up and just acknowledging that. Let's change the direction of the circle we're drawing. And come back to center. Let's do something we haven't done in quite a while. I want you to start kind of tiptoeing yourself or walking yourself over to a side position. So you've got your chair's backrest on your, the side, it's on one arm side. So we can do a twist. So create a right angle with your legs and create a mermaid leg. So squeeze your legs together, feet together, legs together. Sit up real tall. This is where you just kind of disconnect from the screen. You've done this lots of times. I know you have. So just find your twist now as you rotate your upper body toward the chair's backrest. Squeeze those thighs and start working your twist. The beauty of using a chair is you've got the support and leverage. Remember to balance through your pelvis, left to right, front to back, so it'll keep your spine in a vertical position. Boy, we can really deepen this twist, can't we? Because we're using the chair to its full capacity. Any part of the chair. Keep breathing, keep exploring. Remember, we want the whole length of the spine. So we're going to include turning the head, feeling some movement through the neck. But the pelvis stays absolutely still. It's a source of grounding to the earth to allow you to rotate and expand in the upper body. Deepen your breath now, deepen it. Go all the way in before you go all the way out. Give yourself freedom of adjustment and movement. It's fluid. It's not rigid at all. One more breath cycle. When we come out of it, start with unwinding your head first, and then unwind your shoulders and arms, and then do some reset movements, perhaps shoulder shrugs or shoulder rolls, any adjustment you might want to do. And then we're going to start going to the other side of the chair. So start shimmying yourself over to the other side. Same deal. Legs together, balancing your pelvis right to left, front to back. Spine is vertical when we begin. Take a big inhale. When you exhale, you initiate the movement through your twist. So you're turning yourself to face the backrest. Pay attention to the body's conversation. Remember what the language of the body is? It's the sensation you're experiencing. So there's dialogue going on. So you honor that. Listen, breathe, and just be curious about it. What the poses that we've done so far might do or contribute to this experience. Just be curious of how it feels by placing this twist at this juncture of your practice. Pelvis is balanced. Lift, lengthen the spine, and move into as deep a twist or revolve position as your body is inviting you into. Feet to the earth. Let's let the sky find its way through the crown of the head now. Into the crown of the head, we feel the stars in the sky aligning within our body. We're going to unwind the head and then the arms and shoulders. And then we'll come back to center. And let's get ourselves out of that chair. I'm going to suggest you lift up and boot yourself up. Or if any way that you have found useful, helpful, strong, fun to get up and out of that chair. Excellent. Let's find our mountain pose now. I'm going to find my block again and bring it between my ankles because it's not a bad idea to align with that as well. Palms face forward, soften the knees so there's no lock. And you're looking straight out. So your head, neck, and spine in alignment. If you're looking down or up or, that's not the alignment we're looking for. Neutral, think neutral. So the jawline is parallel to the floor. Palms face forward. As we know, it helps to align those shoulder blades to the back body. Close the eyes now. Let's close. And settle into a full breath cycle that circles your body with your breath. And this time, when you're circling that breath coming from the soles of the feet up through the front side of your body to the crown of the head, and exhaling down through the back side of the body, through the length of the body in the back to the soles of the feet. Think of that circle now has created a space, an energy that surrounds your body. And that energy came from the earth, and it came from the stars in the sky. And it is loving and unconditional in its positive regard for you. Circle your body with breath and create an encasing of positive, unconditional regard. One more time. Remember to soften the knees. As we come out of it, we'll flutter the eyes open, get used to our surroundings again. Just take a pause, just takes a moment. Let's put the block to the side now and come to use the chair to put a foot up on it. So I want you to bring yourself, however you have learned to come up, near your chair where it's the most supportive. Let's just start by rolling onto the pinky side of our foot. So we start with the sole of the foot down, but then we start to roll it and see how that feels in the hip and into the buttocks. And then I want you to include some movements of your pelvis forward back. So it's either sole of the foot is down, or you include, so rolling, you do them all. Pulsing the pelvis forward and back. I like to put the pinky side of the foot down and do the pulsing. That's kind of my favorite way to do it. It gets into the stuff that I really need to work out. So that's my favorite use of this. And holding on to the chair would change it. Where you hold on to the chair would change the sensation. If you brought your hands to the chair seat and did this, it's going to be a little different feeling, a little different experience than when your hand holding on to the very top of the chair. So use the various ways and just explore for yourself where you're getting what your body seems to need. And discontinue your look onto the screen as quickly as possible so that you can pay attention to what's going on your chair and with your body. Let's meet with the foot down, kind of centered on the chair, holding on to the chair in any way you want to. And now I want you to pull your hips back and let your toes pop up, heel stays down, and we straighten through that leg. So move through that. A bent knee comes forward and a straight leg pulls back, and you let the toes pop right up off the chair. Keep your gaze in a neutral position so your spine is aligned to this movement. When I say keep your gaze, it's really how you're facing your head. It's kind of deceiving, like it's not really where your eyes are looking, not necessarily, but it's how you're holding your head so your spine is in alignment. Let's hold the straight leg. See if you can hold the straight leg and see if there's another part of the chair you might be able to reach. So in other words, you're folding your chest and belly down toward that straight leg as much as it will allow. Breathe in and breathe out. Stretch. Spread the toes of that foot that's up there, spread them, and then soften them. Give them another spread and soften, and let's come all the way up. Foot to the chair, take a pause now. Both hands, if you can balance your way up, both hands are on that thigh. Get strong with your core. Imagine the block between your thighs, even though it's like, what? I couldn't possibly, you know what I mean. Imagine that block action, the squeezing of the block action now is going on between your thighs. I've got my right foot up there, so right hand, right foot. So whatever foot you got up there, use the same side hand. Let it reach up, same side as what the foot's on the chair. And we're going to reach behind us to touch the back of the other thigh, way back, as far back as you can, and let your other hand drape alongside that. I'm going to say, turn your palm to face out, pressing the back of your hand and the back of your forearm into that outside part of your right leg or the leg that's up on the chair. Now lengthen the spine, lift up, lengthen. Deepen. Finish the breath every time. We're going to unwind slowly and bring that foot to the floor and shake it out. So shake out, reset your body. And we're going to make our way to the other side. So step your other foot onto the chair seat and start with just changing from rolling to the pinky edge and getting your foot down on the chair. So you're just sort of getting your bearings, knowing what we're headed into now. Because we're going to do that pulsing action where the pelvis is moving forward and back, both with the foot rolled to the pinky edge and with the foot squarely down. So both ways to position your foot are welcome here, but it's an individual choice here about where you get the sensation you're looking for, where it gives you the challenge, where it gives you, like I said, what you're looking for in this pulsation forward and back. And remember, where you're holding yourself with the chair matters. So using the high side of the chair is one kind of sensation for this, one kind of stabilization. And then another way is just some other part of the chair, like the chair seat, which is my favorite. Roll onto the pinky edge of the foot, get my hands onto the chair seat, and pulse in a way that's kind of circular and fluid, and stay with the breath. We still have to manage the weight of your head. So pay attention. Just pay attention to what's going on so you're not straining your neck just accidentally. So pay attention to manage the weight of your head. Your hips can go side to side as well as forward and back. So get creative. You're looking for sensation. We're not looking to find some way to do it without feeling, are we? We're trying to find all the sensation we can. Let's meet with our foot on the chair seat. Pulse forward now into a bent knee, very bent knee. But when you come back, it's a straight leg. So this is where the toes pop away from the chair. This is done in a pulsing motion forward and back. Breathe in and breathe out. And if you're thinking, I could bend my knee all day long, that's no big deal. I would just straighten it and stretch. Go for it. Maybe you spread the toes of that foot and really feel some sensation. Pull back with the hips, straighten that leg. And you can always give yourself some relief with the pulse forward and bent knee. All right, let's meet again. Foot is square on the chair. Come upright, catch up with your breathing. Make sure both feet feel balanced and in a way feel connected to the earth. Let's get hands on the thigh. Steady. Remember, same side hand. I got my left leg now. So left arm is going to reach up and reach all the way around back to the back side of that standing leg. And the front arm is going to turn, palms facing out, with the back hand and the back of the forearm pushing into that outside of your leg. Now, can you lengthen and create verticality of your spine? Feel yourself connected and supported by the earth. Breathe in and breathe out. All the way in, all the way out. Come out of it, it's just a step-by-step unwinding back to a neutral position. Let's get both feet to the floor. You can leave your chair just as it is to do a downward facing dog. So palms can come to that chair. Now let's walk back from that. and stretch it out. Try to straighten your legs. Arms are going to be aligned right past your head, past your ears. But your body weight is held entirely by your legs and hips and buttocks. So we just remind ourselves, this is what's holding us up. We have strong confidence in our legs. Straighten them out. Breathe deeply now. Deepen the breath. Couple more breaths. Stay with it. Stretch. Try to straighten your legs. Even if you just do it briefly, like a second or two, that you just push through that bend of the knee and stretch it out, and then let it relax to where it normally is. Even that will help. Let's start walking towards the chair. Take your time. Keep your head low. Start to round your back body. So when we come up vertebrae by vertebrae, our head is the last to come up, and it's slow and mindful as we ascend to our mountain pose. Palms face forward. Just stay right where you are. Don't turn. Don't try to face yourself somewhere else. Just come right here and respect the fact that you were just in an inversion for a while. Breathe in and out. Let your body adjust. Good. Let's come back to the chair. Not quite ready to do our Shavasana, so let's make our way into the chair, but we're not using the backrest. So you're in your forward position, feet grounded to the floor. See if you can cross your arms. Just bring your arms to a cross position, and then the back of the hands come together. Now, that's one way to do it, where you just let them just be up there in the back of the. Some of us are able to kind of weave them. You know, you just see if you can weave your hands together so that you're holding on, and otherwise you're binding them a little more so. This is a bind, just letting your hands be kind of free flowing up there. And that might be what's accessible to you. But if you're able to sort of bind them a little further by weaving your hands together in some fashion, that's really helpful too. So now we're kind of into the, think of the back of your heart, the space of the heart behind, instead of the chest cavity here, this part, we're back here, we're back there. So as we bring our arms together, you notice how you're stretching through those shoulder blades, and your shoulder blades are separating. So that's what we're doing here as we lift up and down. So be aware that you're on the back side of your heart. This opening experience is not the front body exclusively. You're expanding through the back side of your heart as well. Up and down, keep your feet grounded and connected to the earth, sit bones connected to the earth. Now separate that. Notice which arm is on top. Come all the way out, all the way out, all the way around. Let's even just do some circles with those arms. And then when we come back to this pose, we want the other arm on top. And then see if you can bind in some way and go back to the movement, just up and down with your elbows, stretching through the back of the body, right through that heart center that's in the back. And of course, it's working your shoulders and the strength of your arms at the same time. See if you can slow down your breath. Feel the full connection of the inhale and the exhale as you move and experience this. If you're not afraid to feel the perhaps intensity sometimes. And then we're going to unwind all that unwinds all the way around, and back to a neutral position. Okay, now it's time to scoot back into the chair and lean into the backrest. If there's any pose or movement or stretch that your body really is craving, we didn't do, but you'd like to do it, for sure. Just do it. Just take your time before you set yourself up for the time to relax and meditate. I'm going to step off the screen and just talk you through a few more ways to come into this relaxed state, and then there'll be silence. So connecting to the inhale, And the exhale, this is where it's really helpful to use a mantra. And those simple words, I still think are the best ever, that we just simply align to in and out, in and out. So our mind stays totally focused on this process. You've kind of captured it. You've got the full attention and awareness of your mind by assigning it that little job of breathing in, out, in, out. And notice as you're breathing that way, how your body starts, because it's familiar. You are all well practiced. So your body knows this is the time to relax. It's probably way ahead of you. It is already coming into a very softened, relaxed state. All the way in, breathe all the way out. Stay in dialogue with your body. The sensation in your body is the language that your body uses to communicate. Let's change our mantra. Inhale the word deep, exhale the word slow. Let's deepen the breath and slow it way down for even greater sense of relaxation now by using that mantra. Deep and slow. And finally, as we settle deeply into our relaxed state, change your mantra to calm and ease. Inhale, calm. Exhale, ease. I'm reading from The Promise of a New Day, a book of daily meditations. Today's very reading, August 7th. There is guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. That from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Perhaps it was only yesterday or the day before that we doubted our value to society or to our family or friends. We often lose our direction. That's normal and consistent with the human condition. However, the length of time we spend floundering, uncertain of ourselves, is proportionate to the time it takes us to acknowledge the guide within. We need not be lost or full of doubt for long. Going within ourselves may not be a spontaneous reaction for many of us, but we can learn to respond in this way. And when we're open to the inner urging and willing to follow it, we'll discover the benefits. All that's asked of us is the decision to listen. I can quiet my thoughts today long enough to sense the necessary direction to take. I can be certain the guidance is right for me. Let's introduce movement back into the body now. Maybe getting your feet back to the floor. And coming forward on your chair as you take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale it out of your mouth. Ah. One more time like that, a cleansing breath in and a sigh out. All right. Let's come to our final connection to the breath, if you will. Inhale with me, palms come together overhead. Look up if that feels good for your neck. Connecting to the sky and the stars. Exhale, let your heart bow in. Inhale back up. And exhale, let's share that beautiful energy of unconditional positive regard to our communities today. Palms come to the heart. We bow to ourselves. We bow to one another. Namaste, my friends. And thank you for joining me.